Hello traders, this is Alex with the StockMatrix program. It's about 5:40 in the morning on July 18th, Friday. We are doing an update today because the timing came in actually kind of midnight-ish. We'll review that here. This is the X account and the standard intro here. This is where I post stuff, any trades that we might have done that I didn't do a video on, that kind of thing. Let's go to the bar chart where we keep track of our trades. Again, 58 grand, fictitiously started with 150. So again, just kind of riding the trends, right? We do have some puts on. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So we have 6 puts on out of the 17 select stocks. So again, it's a kind of a balanced trade. We still making money, riding the trends. So looks like our biggest dinger winner is Microsoft at 9,500. Meta coming in at 8,700. I know it's a high dollar stock. Coinbase 9,800. So let's and I did post last video I did, which you can go back and review. I had a spreadsheet on since we were halfway through our period, 1 year annual. I did do an update on kind of into the breakdown of which stocks did the best and all that. Again, we made pretty good money on the down. We had a bear market, and then we turned into a bull. So it's been a pretty easy trade, really. Maybe not quite as choppy as you'd want to see for a trial, something to show. But again, you just go with the trend until it bucks you off, right? That's kind of the name of the system. We're not picking tops. We're not picking bottoms. We're going with the direction of the flow of the money. All right, let's go to the actual stock matrix program. And as you can see, we've got some annulars coming in. Now, we did make new highs yesterday on three of the 17. BK, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. Bank of Magellan has quite a bit of stuff coming in. So, if you haven't bought BK, don't buy it today, right? I mean, new highs. I mean, we be patient. Again, there's annuals in here for a reason. And these are both high annuals, right? So the seasonality of BK is to make a high in here. Not saying to sell it, right? I'm just saying don't buy it here if you haven't gotten long. Here's some other ones, and you can kind of look at this, freeze it, print it, whatever you want to do. Here's the actual trades. Again, we are, we got 6 down and 11 up, right? So again, now the ones that are down are on the bubble of turning up. So, and you can see, again, I don't normally post this, but we did make a new high on the index of my index, right, of the 17 select stocks. So it's at 478,000. So it did bust a new high by quite a bit. So again, it's telling you that the trends are alive, and you don't go with the dog, go with the power, go with the strength. Let's go and review the charts here real quick. Try to speed this up. I'm sorry I always drag it out. I could talk forever on markets. But this is how I get long and short, or again, if I'm going short, I'm buying puts, right? If I'm going long, I'm buying calls. So these double out basically stops, right? Right now I got calls on, and I won't buy puts until it gets to the stop area. Now we did raise this up. Now again, the reason why I'm doing this today is today is when the quarter moon is at 39 minutes into after midnight, right? So again, officially we're not open, so I opted to do it today. For one, I want to push the stops up as close as I can, and it makes logical sense. So, and the next one is July 24th, which is a Thursday. So again, kind of hanging in there. It's not like a weekly chart, right? Because again, we're using the moons. So, and then we use the square of 9 for price. That's how I built, and it has to be a 3 box method, that kind of thing. So I don't raise it up for 3 periods. So this is, we're into this period right now, and so I can move my stop. Now I went from here, I had the stop here. Now I raised it to here, right? So on the video, we have a good trade, and we got long here, up and away, TWA, right? We got new highs. It's a grinder. We are 90 degrees over, so you got to be a little cautious buying this strength. So these stops I like a lot. I think those are logical from the 90-degree period or 90 days, right? Here's Meta. Popped a new high and has not acted very bullish. So we have a official bull trap here. Now I don't know if you sell it, right? Because again, it's one of the big ones. Now we got long here, raise the stops up to here. So we're pushing them pretty tight now, which is nice. So now again, depending on today's trade, right now the S&P is pretty steady. So no indication of what it's doing. But if Meta's the key, you're definitely got to be a little cautious here. That something maybe is getting a little overbought, right? There's no place else to go. Stock market, commodities suck. Now there's a few starting to turn the corner. Here's Coke. Again, this sideways pattern continues. It's a junk trade. you buy a new low and you sell new highs. I think it's just how it's a sideways trade. Really nothing to report. We have not made any money in Coke since we started this thing. Here's Google, and you can see we're up here 180 degrees over. We'll be coming into zone. It's kind of one of the slower ones. We're kind of on the one-to-one. This dotted red line off the highs. 1 quarter moon over for 1 square 9 down, right? So it's a one-to-one. Here's your cardinal cross area and probably a logical support on a pop. But again, it's just a grinder. It's a little slower, right? So again, you don't buy the pooch. You buy Meta or Microsoft or something like that. Leave this one alone. Now again, maybe it's worthy if you're going to stay in there forever. I don't know. But here's Microsoft. You can see we raised the stops up significantly. It was here. Now we're here a little tighter. But again, we're just every week is a higher close. So whatever happened on this gap, whatever news that was released, it was Microsoft was undervalued tremendously. And that's, you can see these higher closes. Somebody's putting the wood to it, and it's not letting it break at all. Now, of course, you can see the action at the low, right, back in April, was quite significant and harsh. For every action, there's an equal reaction. I assume we're going to have some wild action. Could see ranges like this, one of these moon periods, and start putting in some type of top. Once we get overvalued, right now it's telling me we're still undervalued. So anyway, the stops are here. I don't mind those at all. Amazon, here's kind of a slower slog. It did finally get through the one-to-one, and it started trading. We've had higher closes since. The stop got moved to here. We got long here. So it's a nice trade, nothing too spectacular yet. Here's Apple, kind of the dog with fleas. Finally broke out of the triangle, but it just can't get going. Everybody has, I think, way too much Apple in their portfolio. They should have rolled it to Meta or Microsoft kind of thing, and everybody's, I love Apple. You either love Apple or hate Apple. It's the weirdest thing ever. I hate Apple, so products. Now, I don't know. I would like to get a Tesla phone personally. Speaking of Tesla, here is kind of some type of coil, right? This pattern here is a coiling pattern. The trend has just turned long short term, but we are short. These are one of them that we are short. You can see why, right? We got nicked in right here actually at 289. So, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's just kind of there. The problem with it is we did hold the one-to-one trend line. So, and again, that'll be resistance this moon period, up in here. So I like the stop. Makes a lot of sense. No big painful thing there. Here's Lynn, kind of a chipper, right? After this weird bear trap that was powerful, quadrupled your money in a couple days on your options if you had bought the bear trap. But again, for every action, there's an opposite but equal reaction. We had a bull trap, and of course, it reacted appropriately. So makes sense to me. We're a little sloppy. We did push the stops up to here, which I personally don't like. System don't care what I think. So the StockMatrix program is successful for a reason. Here is ED. Push the stops down into the range, getting tighter and tighter, which I don't mind, right? We are 90 degrees over is here, and it so far is holding. We also got 180 degrees and 90 degrees over from here, so it makes sense that this might be a low. The one-to-one is here, so really, you really can't confirm anything until we start breaking out. Well, it'll be here above that. And of course, then you run into the solar eclipse. So again, I think that stop, I don't mind it at all. Now we're going to make a little, right? We got short here, so no big whoop. Here's Adobe. Bears, choppers, just kind of, we pushed our stops to break even. We got in here, so no big trade, but again, it's holding the one-to-one. It's in a parallel channel, declining parallel channel, and it's a high dollar stock. So option plays are nice on those when they get a high dollar stock and trading in channels. Here's IBM. Push the stops up to here. I don't like that stop too much. We had it here, which makes more sense to me. But again, it's acting one of those that had a power play early. We did get long here, so we are going to lock in a profit, a pretty decent profit. Here's BK. Again, kind of a sloppy trade, and it started powering up. Higher close, higher close, higher close, close on its absolute high. Now, as we know, it's coming into a zone here. So let's I got to remind myself to go back to Microsoft here when we're done. Here's Procter & Gamble, and as we talked last video, I assumed it was going to take out that all-time low, or not all-time low, lowest I had on my chart when we started the program. So, I mean, I had to go back and review. But anyway, we did pop that out and then closed off of it. So it makes sense that it makes sense to me that Procter & Gamble, if you're going to buy a dip, or if you add to your positions, which I hate, by the way, but if you average down, that was a great spot to do it. I should have had orders in there to average down. Again, maybe it makes sense based on the dividend or something. Again, I don't care about dividends. Here, the stop got moved to here, same spot, basically just different time now. I like that stop as well. Here's JPM, the diamond. Had an outside moon period here. We did close higher, which is good for the bulls, but it closed on an inside. So we've had an outside, inside. Stops got moved to here, which I like. Again, it should just power up and go. Now, if it's overvalued, we'll probably stay sloppy. Coinbase, power rush. Again, we know from the last video we talked about the all-time highs are up here yet a little ways on the opening day of this stock. So again, I assume we're going to take those out. Here's Cintas, and I'll review that here in a second on the daily chart when we go through it. Here's Cintas, an outside period. All of this was yesterday's trade, by the way, from here to here, pretty much. This whole thing was just one day of the whole period caused the range. We pounded new lows out of nowhere. I don't know if we had a quarterly report. I don't know what caused Cintas to go crazy, but again, it's crazy, but it's still on the downtrend. We are still short this stock, or again, have puts on, right? But it did cause the short-term trend now to go up. So stops got moved same place, so I like those stops. All right, let's now review the daily chart. Before I go there, I want to show you the Microsoft stuff. I'll do it in the daily. Okay, here's NVIDIA on the daily. Again, we have all our annuals on here and the shorter term cycles. Again, that April 7th, we've been preaching that. And again, I got these marked with these little red circles. Now, again, sometimes they're not the absolute low or anything, but those days don't get taken out too very often. And it's a level of where you can kind of push your stops. So you can see, though, we do have some stuff coming up here in the end of July. Well, actually, it looks like the 1st of August. Let's take a look at that real quick. NVIDIA. Yeah, you can see there's a slug of them starting on the 27th. So all pretty much lows except for one out there. But which is what you want, right? You want to see some support and resistance. You got again, for all these that made the low on the 7th or 8th, right? We got the next matrix zone coming in around July 29th or July 30th. So basically the end of the month, so this is going to be a key one. I usually don't post much after the 77 market day. I'll delete it. But it's kind of key. Let's go to Meta. You can see we had an annular, did come in here. We're 99 days from this high, which again, we popped new highs, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now the new high is the 30th. It was the 14th, so now it'll be the 30th will be what we'll be marking for support resistance. This low with the bear trap actually was the 21st, so I find that a little fascinating. So you got two important lows probably to work on, the 7th, right, and then the 21st. So both those will be important in all these markets, and if I don't mention it much, that's kind of a key thing for me. And again, here's your solar eclipse close, which is down there ways. So if this market wanted to break a well, it definitely could. Now, again, acting different than some of the bulls and definitely opposite of the S&P or the NASDAQ as they're making new highs. So Meta is having a little coughing spell here and spitting up some blood. Here's Coke, kind of the chopper, right? We thought this was a huge diamond pattern that turned into a dud. So, but the trend is sideways. You got to play, sell new highs, buy new chop lows, that kind of thing. Makes sense to me. And maybe if you're wanting to trade it more, you don't new highs, right? You might get up into here somewhere and then sell it, and maybe down here somewhere you buy it, play that range. The system isn't going to make any money on this kind of deal, by the way. Let's move on. It's a dud. Coke, kind of a chopper, slow slog, and you can see it's just trending, no big deal. The 66 matrix sequence, which ended the sequence from this low, so far is a high, so you got to be a little cautious on some of these. Here is Microsoft, again, one of the Super Bowls that we've had with this massive gap. Nice trender after it. Never checked out the gap, which will be probably a historical event down the road, right, where we have some bearish news. Again, these guys will create bearish news, right? The boys that want to buy the big dip, they can create news. And you can see we have a bunch of annulars. Let's go. This is the one I wanted to show you. Microsoft. But we have a slug, an absolute slug of stuff came in. So, I mean, we have the 16th, 17th, there was 3, and the 18th. So basically we had 5 of them within a day. So now today is the 18th. So I don't know, man. I would use a little caution, and I wouldn't buy any more up here. I would be more of a fader of the market, maybe. Let's say you have too much on long. Might be an area of where you maybe pull the trigger and get out of some. Now again, this just tells me that this is, now let's go back there. I think this is a great level to put your stops, right, underneath this low of 501.89. So now you could probably turn on an hourly chart, start drawing your trend lines in, that kind of thing. Maybe even a faster one than that, right? Let me see. Oh, well, let's go to a 5 minute. Yeah, see, again, you can see where the swings are that are important. Anyway, I'm not trying to get too technical there and telling you where to bail. That's not my point. The system's long. It won't care what I think either. And it don't care if it puts new highs in every day of the week for the next 5 years. It'd stay long, right? All right, let's go to Amazon. I just wanted to show you that. I mean, that's one of the most big batch of annuals I've seen in a while. So pretty key to me. Now, it's either maybe we'll gap up. If it gaps up and gap and go, maybe we'll have a mid-range gap here. You don't know what the highs are going to be, right? That's the problem of being too technical. All I know is that's going to be a level of support where easy stops can be placed. Or since we're doing options, right, that's a level of puts that you can do, right? This level right here, you can buy $5 puts, makes a lot of sense, or $500 puts, excuse me, makes a lot of sense. Let's say you have 200 shares in Microsoft, right? That's quite a bit of money. You can buy 2 puts. That's 200 shares. So, just cover yourself there. You maybe go out a month or 2 or a year, don't matter, right? Again, and then don't get out. And if there's a dividend, you collect it. Again, not my forte here, but I just know this is important, right? So, and these are all highs. So the seasonality for this time period is a high. 2 years ago. Well, let's just go back and look, see what it did 2 years ago. Yeah, this was this high right in here. Stab. Whoops, sorry. There it is. The stab high right here. And then it dropped. You can see that it was a bull too, right? Push, 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 poof. It created some news and down we went. So that's kind of this same deal. Push, 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 poof. Be a little cautious. That's all I'm saying. There's Amazon. No big deal. You can see that the highs up here are ways away. The sequence did work. We're currently 112 days off those highs. Here's Apple holding that 1-to-1 downtrend line. I think it's a 1-to-1. No, it's not. It's a 3-by-1, 1-by-3. You can see that it's holding this resistance though. Just a slugger. We're back to the solar eclipse, right? That's the problem. We got another previous solar eclipse up here. So both these dotted red lines are the last solar and the previous solar. So that's an area of obvious resistance. It also fills the gap. So, technically. So we got a lot of stuff in here that you got to grind through, but it's just heavy. I don't know why. I'm not an Apple guy. I don't know the news on Apple. I don't know anything about it, but all I know is that it's a pooch right now and stay out of it. If you got money and you want to invest, don't invest in the pooch. It's like gold or silver. Don't buy the pooch. Silver's the pooch. Buy the gold. Anyway, Tesla's up here. We are 33 days over. Yesterday, we're 33 days over on Tesla from this high. Half of the matrix. So again, kind of key to me. We have a crap ton of stuff coming in today. So again, I don't know. Whatever lows are coming in today, I would assume this pivot, unless it's lower than that, would be a place you push your stops up if you're a little nervous on Tesla. Here's Lynn, kind of a chop, pop, haven't made new highs in a long time. Just kind of there. So anyway, it is what it is. We got, obviously it's had a 7-8 day decline here. So be cautious on being a bear down here, I think. Here's ED, again, kind of a similar deal. We've had, 17 days from this low, and it hasn't done nothing. So it doesn't have any power on the upside yet. Now again, a gap up or something might get it going. But let's go to Adobe. The gap and Marty. I haven't had a gap in a while. We had one back here, had one here, had one here, had one here, had one here, had a huge one here. So again, maybe it's time for a gap. Be a little cautious on Adobe. That with all the gaps proven that it can move the market, you got to be a little tad cautious. Here's IBM. Just kind of a possible top right now. If you're waiting for, like I told you back in here, don't buy new highs. You will get a break, and sure enough, we've had a break now. Do you buy that or not? I don't know. Is it a long-term high? I don't know. But I would just use a little caution. I would assume I wouldn't get too interested in buying it until the annual, or the 25th was the high, right? So a month later, that's when I'd be, if I was having to buy a break, I would probably look at maybe let me see, what's July 24th? July 24th is a Thursday. 21st is turnaround Tuesday. So I would say you wait till Tuesday to really get a serious look at if you have to buy the break. Now we've broken the uptrend line. We've broken a swing. So it's at least violated some stuff, which again, that's what a correction means, right? A correction, if you don't violate a correction, isn't a true correction unless you violate some stuff. This is a correction. We violated this swing. We've got a secondary top. We've broken the uptrend line, right? So you violated some stuff, got people probably a little nervous. So again, that's the whole definition of a correction. If you don't get those, it's not correction. Now here's the bull out of nowhere. A New York bank stock getting bully, kind of interesting. We do have a pair of annulars coming in on the 18th, which is today. So and both were highs. And a couple years ago, let's go back and look at that. 23rd. Oops, dadgummit. Yeah, it was right here. Oh no, sorry. I don't know why I got that as a high. I guess because of this pivot here. Anyway, you can see it was kind of this bottom. This whole action was kind of a dog with fleas, and it stayed a dog for forever. And then once it finally popped that out, got down there and challenged that low and failed, then that got the people out of their short positions and up away TWA. So anyway, interesting. But we do have definitely a pair of annulars here. We are next week will be the 77 market day sequence, and I'll probably just get rid of it after that, and then because again we're coming into the next solar eclipse. Now there is something pretty key on the solar eclipse coming up. Let me get through these first, and I'll talk about that if I have time. Here's Procter & Gamble. Again, we had an annular came in here. Let me switch this one. And 1996, I know it was a while ago, but it was important back to then. So we do have an annular and another one on the 21st on a shorter term swing annular, monthly one. So again, we have a little gap to work on, got something to chew. Now again, this is the one I talked about that it was going to go down and pop that low out, and it did. So definitely comfortable buying Procter & Gamble on that dip probably. I don't know anything about Procter & Gamble. I know there's a lot of companies, a lot of products, excuse me, and it is a safe play based on all the products. Now some of the products they're promoting had some pretty negative news, hence the decline. So with the new administration in here pushing more high quality food, Procter & Gamble is under the gun a little bit. The Diamond, JPM, just a grinder, but again, it just made new highs early and just kind of sitting here. One of those strong ones that are waiting to see attitude, looks like to me. Here's Coinbase, popped a new high. Well, again, you can see here is the all-time high, which is 429.54. So that was the day of the first opening of this stock. We're at 415.96, so it's got a ways to go to pop that high, but I would assume that that's fuel for the fire, and it's came a long way, baby, right? I mean, we had this nice head and shoulder kind of bottom in the COVID era, and then multiple legs. This bear trap was awesome, created this up here, so I kind of assume it's going to stay that way for a while. Let's move on to Cintas. Here was this trade I talked about on the other chart. I don't know. Okay, got hammered, pushed new lows, kind of was trending off its high, which was made on the 6th, right? And the lows were made on the 7th. So nice cyclical kind of deal. But both the 6th and the 7th are going to be important now on Cintas for sure. And I keep them on there, right? So, but yeah, it did not change the trend. But man, the opening and the follow through close today on Cintas is pretty key. Here's a 1-to-1 coming down, 1-to-1 going up. So it's a nice steady trade. Interesting though what happened here. I don't know the news. Again, I'm not a news guy. I'm rambling. Sorry. I will sign off and catch you on the flip side.